All right, so take two. Um, I just tried to do this, and my daughter, who was in the other room, was FaceTime calling me because she's homesick and she needed something. So if you were on the last one, I apologize for that. And so let's just restart. So we're in Psalm chapter 7, verse 12, and just going to continue our study through the psalm. So it says this, and if you're on the last one, I apologize for that. It says, "If a man does not repent, and God will whet his sword, and he has bent and readied his bow. He has prepared for him his deadly weapons, making his arrows fiery shafts. Behold, the wicked man conceives evil and is pregnant with mischief, and gives birth to lies. He makes a pit, digging it out, and falls into the hole that he has made. His mischief returns upon his own head, and on his own skull his violence descends. I will give to the Lord the thanks due to his righteousness, and I will sing praises to the name of the Lord, the Most High." So, if you remember from yesterday, in the last couple of days as we've worked through this psalm, David is on the run from King Saul because he's been accused of wanting to overthrow the kingdom. And yet, even though David has had many chances to end Saul's life, he never does because he doesn't want to dishonor the king that God has anointed. And so David is a man of honor who's on the run. And we've talked about in the last couple of days how he's had all of these people who've come against him, who've brought false accusations, haters, if you will. Yet instead of seeking his own revenge and trying to defend his own honor and name, he has made the decision that it's God's place to judge these people. And so he continues and he simply makes the observation. He goes, "But for those who do not repent, for those who don't turn from their sins, their ways of bringing these accusations against God, or against him, that God will defend him. That God is ready with his sword, with his bow and his arrow." And David, he uses this image because David is a warrior. Now, does God really have a sword? Does God really have a bow? Those kinds of things. I think that's just David's own personality speaking through the text. But I think the truth from that is that God is the one who protects us. That God is the righteous judge, the righteous king who will make things right in the end. And that for those who continue down the path of evil and don't turn from it, well, you're going to have to deal with the consequences of that. What really caught my attention this morning was verse 14. He says that, "Behold, the wicked man conceives evil and is pregnant with mischief and gives birth to lies." Other ways that this is translated is that mischief can be translated as trouble and lies can be translated as deception. And what caught my attention is the progression of it. That evil, when we flirt with evil, it will often transform into trouble. And after trouble takes root and grows, it can often give birth to deception, disillusion. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is that sometimes if we just kind of flirt around with evil, that it can begin to take root in our lives. And we think to ourselves, it's no big deal. I'm not harming anyone. But eventually what happens is we end up believing the lie that we're flirting with. And then from that place we can't see properly. So here's a couple of bad examples. There was a TV show called Breaking Bad that was out several years ago that was brilliant. And the storyline, without giving away the plot, is essentially you have a high school chemistry teacher who has cancer and is going to die, and he doesn't want to leave his family with the medical bills. And so because he's a chemistry teacher, he starts making and selling meth. And the storyline is the downward progression of his soul. How he flirts with the idea simply because he doesn't want to leave his family in a bad place. But by the time that we get to the end of the series, he has lost everything. He's lost his kids, his family, his friendship. He's lost himself. And what David says here is that when we flirt with evil, like, we start digging a ditch that will fall into ourselves. Another example from the movies is the Godfather series. The Godfather series begins with, it's a story about a man named Michael Corleone, who is a World War II veteran who comes home and his father is a mobster. And he doesn't want to go down this route. He wants to live a legitimate life, but because of life circumstances, because of flirting with evil, he goes down that same path his father did. And by the time that you get to the end of the movie series, and I think in episode the third movie, he's trying to get out, but they keep pulling him back in, a famous line. But the final scene is these opposing gangsters are trying to make a hit on him, trying to kill him, and they accidentally kill his daughter instead. And I think the warning is that when we flirt with evil, what David is saying here is we make pits, we dig pits, and then we fall into them. That our mischief returns upon our own head. And what David is simply saying is this: we have to really watch ourselves. Because if we flirt with evil, then we will conceive trouble and give birth to deception. And so we may say, it's not hurting anybody, it's just me, I could quit any time, or I don't, whatever that may be for you. But we have to be very serious, because it's a trap. We create our own traps by flirting with the brokenness in the world. And so I think the invitation, the challenge for all of us is we have to keep ourselves in check. We have to be very cautious to stay away from evil, because if we don't, it can grow into disillusionment, into such deception that we don't even know what's right from wrong. And so, to end on a good note, David finishes this psalm by saying, "But I will give to the Lord the thanks due to his righteousness, and I will sing praise to the name of the Lord." See, you and I, we have been given the truth. Jesus comes and shows us the truth. And so we can learn to walk in that and not fall into the traps that the enemy sets for us. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm still kind of thinking through that myself this morning. And so hope you guys have a great day. We will continue tomorrow. Be praying for Annabelle. She's sick, and we don't want to spread it around. We have our youth camp this weekend, so I don't want to get sick before that. So be praying for her, poor thing. She's pitiful. And we love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.